Hello everybody, welcome to the channel, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to download and install one of the most powerful code editors that there is out there, and that is Visual Studio Code. Whether you're just getting into programming or you want a new setup altogether, I'm going to be showing you a step-by-step guide on how to download and use VS Code so you can use it on your coding journey. With that being said, let's get right into this video. Alright, so downloading VS Code is actually very simple. Just go to Google and type in VS Code and hit enter. Go ahead and go to the VS Code website, which is Visual Studio Code if you didn't already know. And here there's going to be a bunch of different options for downloads for Windows, Mac, etc. But make sure you know what type of system you're using before you get to this step. I'm using Windows, so I'm going to click on the Windows download right here. Now, as soon as you click this, you're actually going to start the download and you're going to get a .exe file that you want to open. Here, it'll automatically populate the I do not accept the agreement, but make sure you hit I accept the agreement. You can go ahead and read through this if you want to. However, I'm not going to for the purposes of this video. Go ahead and hit next. Here, go ahead and check create a desktop icon if it's not already checked. This allows it to pop up on your desktop after you download everything and install everything that you need, so it's easy to find for use. Everything else I would leave as what already populates and hit next. Once you get to here, go ahead and hit the install button. Once your installation is complete, you can go ahead and launch it so that we can get started into coding and figuring out how to set up VS Code in the way that you want to. Once you get inside of Visual Studio Code, you may be prompted with this setup window right here. However, you're most likely going to be pushed directly into the walkthroughs section. Now, the walkthroughs have very important information. I highly suggest going through this. I'm not going to go through it in this video because it's pretty self-explanatory, and it shows you how to set up AI to help with your coding. Pick a theme based on the color contrast that you want, and it also provides a video tutorial that'll go over some of the stuff that I'm covering in this video right here. The ideas that I want to cover in this video are just how to set up a file and start coding so that you can run your file in whatever language that you're using inside of VS Code. So let's start a new file. Now, as you can see, I have Python file here. That's just because I've already used it. You probably won't have this option, and you'll most likely just have text file. I would go ahead and click on this. Whenever you do that, you're going to be set up in a new file where you can do all of your coding and practice whatever type of language it is that you want. However, I highly recommend hitting select a language. Now, you don't have to do this. However, if you tell VS Code what language you're using, it will provide you with a lot of information about that language, such as telling you what the functions do as you type them, letting you know where you have errors, and so much more. So go ahead and select the language. For me, I'm going to be using Python, so I'm going to go down and click on Python. Now, one thing to note is that I already have the Python extension downloaded. You're probably going to be prompted with an extension window, which is very simple to go through. It will provide you with all the information that you need, but go ahead and click on that and set it up. Once you've selected a language, you can go ahead and get started coding. For me, I'm going to use the classic print function first. Now, if you aren't familiar with what a print function does, essentially what it does is you write information inside of the print function, and it will output that information outside of your code. This is one of the most useful functions in Python, and you will likely be using this a lot. The reason that select a language is so important is, as you can see, whenever I have my cursor inside of the print function, it tells me what the print function actually does. Now, this may seem very confusing at first if you're not familiar with what any of these terms mean. However, this will become very important later on as you're learning more functions and coding more frequently. I'm going to go ahead and start by running the classic hello world print statement. Now, this is all the code that I'm going to be writing. Once you have all of your code completed and written down and you don't think there's any errors in it, you're going to want to run your code somehow. After all, that is one of the most important parts of having something like VS Code. If you go over here to the right and look at this little triangle, this is going to help you run your Python file. So once you click on this, it will run whatever you have in your script. Now, be aware that if you have errors in your script, it won't output what you want it to, and you'll have to go and fix those. However, this is a very simple file, and it'll run very easily. The one thing with a lot of IDEs, such as VS Code, is that you're going to want to save your file before you actually run it. In fact, it will force you to save it before you run it. I'm going to name my file, just because I can. And make sure you have a designated location where you're going to be putting all these files so that you know how to access them later on and edit them. For me, I'm just going to put this file into my downloads. However, you're probably going to have a specific location that you want to place this. Once you save your file, it's going to go ahead and automatically run it and output whatever your code was meant to do in the terminal down here. as you can clearly see, the print function took hello world from my code and then put it down into the terminal as output. If you still aren't quite familiar with what the print function does, I'll just go ahead and delete this and type in hi. Now we have our file, it's already saved and we don't have to save it again right away, but I can still run it. And you'll see that the print function will take this hi statement that I put inside of it and it will output it to the terminal below. As you can see, it clearly worked right here. Now you don't have to actually use the print function with real words or letters. You can use it with like numbers too. For example, if I put 9 inside the print function and run it, it will output 9 below. Whenever you're done using your code, I would go ahead and go to the files and hit save. Save whatever you've done just to make sure that it doesn't disappear whenever you exit out. Now let's say that I leave VS Code and get rid of my file, and I want to come back in and edit that file. Now this is super easy, just like most applications. There's going to be an open file section that allows you to step back into what you were using before and begin editing it. So here, go ahead and just find that file that you were already working on, and it'll open it right back up for you to use and edit again. That's going to wrap up this video on Visual Studio Code. Hopefully you did learn enough to start using it for your own purposes. And if you did, be sure to hit like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and have a great day.